Thank you for bringing up this topic around AI. I think it is such a huge thing in the world we're living in right now that, yes, we have to talk about it. We can't not talk about it. And I too have been feeling like everything you shared, that sentiment. In fact, I've noticed a frustration in myself. So I actually stayed away from AI for quite a long time. I was just like, I can't believe this is happening to the world. Like, no, I'm not going to take part in it. But then last year in June, I used ChatGPT for the first time because I was working on an application for an arts grant, and a friend had who has been raving about AI, and like uses it a lot, would like talk about it so much. And then when I was working on this arts grant application, I think there was a part of me that was curious, like how would like ChatGPT support me in this if I were to ask it some questions. So I did, and then I was kind of like, oh wow, there is a lot of information here that is actually helping me to maybe make this grant application better. At that moment, that version of me thought that. And then I ended up like, that was my first time using it for something. And then I had an on and off relationship with it. I started getting a bit curious about there was someone I once met who told me that they asked ChatGPT to translate to uh tell them the meaning of their dreams from a Jungian perspective. So I started doing that, and then that became how I was using it. But then in October, around the time that I started, a little bit after like Taqat really came into existence as a thing, and then I noticed myself getting really burnt out, which like I only could pick up on also later on. But there was this period of time where I was suddenly using it a lot more because it was like, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. I can't possibly write about all of it myself. So I'm going to write what I can and then like ask ChatGPT to help me refine it a bit. And but when I was doing that, like that didn't feel like it didn't feel very me, but at the same time, I was too overwhelmed to give a shit. And I just did it anyway. And then, um, in December, suddenly, so like 6 months after using it, very like, I think those 6 months is the most I used it. And then I felt in December suddenly this huge disconnection from it. I was like, I can't believe actually that we are, because I started also noticing on Instagram how exactly what you said, like 99.9% space holders that show up on my feed are writing captions on ChatGPT. It is very obvious because there's a certain way that it's now speaking that it's just so obvious when someone has written something from ChatGPT. And when I noticed that, I was also just like, this is so like uncool, actually. Like, this is just weird, and I can't believe that we have reached this point. And I started to also feel that the voice of AI is actually disconnecting us from the voice of our own soul. Like, if we keep asking ChatGPT to write for us, even if we are feeding it some words that are coming from us, it is still taking over the voice of our soul. We're not writing about our own work, which is coming from place of soul through our soul. So what are we doing? Like, this doesn't make sense. And then alongside that, how much it is affecting the environment, how can we not talk about that? Because, like, how are we supposed to live in a more humane world, a world that is existing in deeper connection with Earth, with ourselves, with each other, if we continue to extract from Earth and have this relationship where as technology evolves and grows, it is also extracting from Earth. Like that is what has been happening for the last how many ever years since technology has grown and evolved so much. And it feels like that's just getting worse. So yeah, this is such a it's a hard one because in a way, like what you shared as well, as a solo entrepreneur speaking for yourself, that there's so much to do that in some sense the ability for someone on the internet to help you, to make that easier for you, of course it makes your life easier. Like, and that's a reality for so many of us, but yeah, at the cost of also somewhere not staying in complete integrity about what we believe our relationship should be towards Earth and Mother Earth. So it's such a conundrum. And it's actually all about a system, right? There's a system that has been created where we are constantly having to think about, like, when I'm saying survival right now, I don't mean survival like, yeah, survival like mode or that sense in the body, but like where we are constantly just having to think about creating resource for ourselves. Maybe that's a better word to use. And we need to create resource for ourselves to keep doing the work we're doing, to keep serving, to build this maybe newer earth that, you know, we are all walking towards or talking about in some way. But like, how can we do that in a way that's not asking us to be part of the system of like capitalist, colonialist, patriarchy, through which we have also so many ways we are part of it. Like this is the way the world is actually. And if we want to create a newer system, yeah, I'm just maybe going in a long, like,
No, I'm also, while you're talking, things are moving. So that's why I'm looking at I'm looking at this beautiful tree outside while I'm listening to you, because also things are moving in me as you're talking. I think it's not an easy time to be alive. I don't think it's an easy time to be human. I don't think it's an easy time to live in integrity. I don't think it's an easy time to know what's right from wrong. And when I mean right from wrong, I mean from an ethical perspective, not from shaming oneself or others for right or wrong behavior. It's more from like, okay, ethically, what is right, what is wrong, like what are the values that we're living by. And I think one of the issues that I see is that as a society as large, even as individuals, we don't have many values that we're living by. Like, we don't have actually foundational values that are guiding us and guiding our behavior. um Most people don't know what their values are. A lot of people's values are inherited and not questioned. And a lot of them are rooted in an oppressive uh, system, that was not designed for any kind of joy. It was just designed for production, consumption, right? So, we are a creative species. We're not a consumption species, right? Like, so it's I was having this realization the other day, because I live in a city, okay, and a lot of my fellow humans who do this work have all left the city. Very few of us are no, there are some of us here, but a lot of my community, they've all migrated to Goa or to easier places, as they like to say, right? Because it's not easy to live in the city. And what I realized is, city life is not meant for enjoyment. It's not meant for leisure. It's not meant for presence. It's not meant for being idle. It's not meant for creativity. It's meant for consumption, production, hustle, individuality. Even if you look at the design of the city, you have no proper places to gather as communities, right? Even in the park, you can't sit on the grass because you're not allowed to sit on the grass. And I'm like, but why is there grass? It makes no sense that I can't sit on the fucking grass, like, so it's the system that we are a part of, and we are part of a system, and we are contributing to this capitalistic system, whether we consciously want to say it or not. I mean, everyone on Instagram is selling something, and that's what I wrote about, including me, right? Because I live in a capitalistic system. I don't come, see, I know a lot of people who are in this space in India have also a lot of family support, right? Whether through property or, they have financial support from their partner or from their family, right? So there are actually very few solopreneurs in this space in India who are really solopreneurs, where there's no like resources coming from outside. And I forgot my point. What was I saying?
We are part of a system. We don't have a
Yeah,
choice.
so we are part of a system, and uh, in that system, there are certain rules that we need to play by, and then for me, it's like, okay, I did everything that I could to participate the least possible in the system. And my benchmark is, am I, and it's really hard to know because I don't think we can know these things in the moment. Am I diminishing the harm that my life is causing on this planet? Right? Am I adding more harm, or is it neutral, or is it minusing with my presence here? Right? And that's kind of my overall metric, where I'm trying to cause the least harm possible. Because also the perspective that I come from is that nobody alive, or dead for that matter, really knows what are the laws of the universe. Nobody really knows what are the laws of nature. We all have like our best assumptions of how we feel they work. It works. We're still discovering stuff about how trees communicate, right? All of this stuff we're constantly learning, right? So my understanding as an individual is, I don't understand the laws of the universe. I don't understand the laws of nature. I cannot stand in my power and say, yes, I know how nature works. I know how the universe works. I have no fucking idea. At best, I have a feeling or a sense, or I think it works like that, but I don't know for sure. And I don't think anybody knows for sure. So I know that somewhere my physical presence is having an impact on the planet. Good, bad, I don't know, because I can think I'm having a great impact because I'm doing healing and this and that, but how do I know, right? You can't really measure impact in the moment. You can only find out really like at least one generation later. I mean, look at our generation, right? And you're a bit younger, but still, like, we're seeing the impact of our upbringing now, right? And now, for example, the kids of the next generation will really see the impact of technology and whatever they have been given when they're around this 30, 40, right? Like you'll get a sense of, oh, this is how fucked up they are. So all of us, for example, from our family, like our parents' generation, we're all struggling with a lot of emotional trauma, right? There's a lot of emotional neglect. So we're seeing the impact they had now. And so it's always kind of I think I'm doing what you were doing earlier. I'm kind of like going everywhere, but I think the way I see it from a very humble perspective is, I don't know what my impact is. I don't know if it's neutral, if it's positive or negative. I don't think I will ever know. So I'm doing my best to do what feels right in my being, hoping that that is not creating more harm in the world. But I don't know. For example, there are people who do plant medicine ceremonies and they come out of there in a really, really bad space. Was it a good thing to give them plant medicine? Maybe not. But how do we? So I think we really need to accept that we do not know much. We do not know much. We're all, and that's also something I'm seeing on, in social media, is everyone's an expert, and everyone is speaking in this absolutism kind of voice of, this is the truth, and I'm like, well, none of us know. Nobody is an expert, right? Like there's no, I think there's still a lot of ego that we need to work through. That's what's coming to me. There's a lot of, I think we're still in many, many illusions that we're not seeing, you know? And I think a lot of people who think they're doing good are also causing harm. So it's a tricky game to play when you don't know the rules of the game. You don't really know what they are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're right. We don't actually know until much later. I mean, that's exactly how we ended up inheriting this world as well, right? That we're living in now. Like, I don't think our parents, our grandparents, they knew on the impact of what they were doing. And then we received it, and it's the same. Like, even if we think we are doing good, perhaps the nature of this world and life is such as there is always also then a polar opposite happening. And when maybe we are watching this earth, maybe if that happens, I don't know. I guess I'll find out at some point. Then only we'll be able to see like what's actually happening and what was the impact of our time on this earth in this present moment of time. But I really want to just bring in what you said about like doing the best we can. I think that feels important. Like I suppose at the end of the day, that's all we can do the best we can in each moment of time, like with as much grace, awareness, presence, love we have the capacity for, I think, in that moment of time too, and really also honoring the fact that we are not perfect individual beings and our ego is going to come up and we are going to slip and falter. But yeah, just I think being able to keep coming back to our heart feels important, and just doing that bit on the best we can for ourselves and for the future generations and for this earth, because yeah, that feels also very important. So yeah.
I mean, sometimes I just feel like it's have you seen the Truman Show?
No, but it's by,
This
is it the
movie,
Trevor? No, no, okay.
it's with Jim Carrey, and he's basically he lives in this fake world, and he thinks it's real. And then eventually he discovers he's not allowed to go to the ocean or something like that. But one day he just takes the boat and he goes out, and eventually the boat hits the edge of the basically what was a fake sky. And
Oh
he
wow.
realized he's been living his whole life in this. He was on TV basically. He was a show. It was called the Truman Show. But for him, it was his life. He was born there. He lived it. And
Wow.
sometimes I feel like we're the Truman Show. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we need to be a little bit more. Um, what's the right word? I feel like we take ourselves too seriously.
Mm.
Like, and also in this space, our healing wellness space, I think we take ourselves too seriously. I think there's too much of persona and personality, and I think we could all do with a lot of simplicity, simplifying the way we think, simplifying the way we talk. Sometimes when I read some posts, I'm like, why is this so complicated? You could say the same thing so simply, like I think the art of simplicity is really missing, like simplicity in our relationships, simplicity in the things we create. I think there's what I'm noticing is somehow, because everyone is kind of fighting for the same piece of the pie, there's a need or desire to complexify things that are actually really simple as a way to kind of differentiate. If you have 5,000 yoga teachers, how are you going to differentiate yourself? Okay, someone's a yoga educator, someone is a yoga practitioner, someone is a yoga master, someone is a yoga student, but actually you're all doing the same thing, right? So I feel like there's a lack of simplicity in the world that we're living in. And I think that also comes from our trauma. I think trauma makes it extremely difficult to be simple.
Yeah.
And you were mentioning, did you mention New Earth, or am I imagining that?
I brought that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. You mentioned New Earth, and I think for me, it's like there is no new Earth in the way that I'm looking at it. This is already heaven on earth. Like, if you look at the planet, it's what a gorgeous, abundant planet, right? I mean, you have everything you need and more to live the most joyous life, literally. From food to medicine, shelter, everything is provided for free. And oh my god, I'm going to digress again, but think of the madness, right? Literally everything is provided for free, and somehow we are paying for everything that is provided for free. It makes no sense. I find it infuriating. I've been infuriated with this for as far back as I can remember. So, like, oh yeah, New Earth. So for me, my perspective is we're already in heaven, right? But the challenge is that individually we're living in hell. And so if I am in hell, and I know this from my own personal story when I was in really deep, deep depression, if you're in hell, I can put you in the most gorgeous place in the world. You will not be able to appreciate it, because you will see what you are. You will not see what is there. You will only see what you are, who you are. And I think that is the biggest tragedy for me, is that we think we're seeing what is, but in fact, we're just seeing who we are. And instead of focusing on working on who we are, we're focused on putting so much energy outside to change things, where if we just work on here, everything outside is already changed. So for me, New Earth, the way that I look at it is not new. It's just removing all the things that come in the way of us being able to realize that we are already in heaven. We are already in heaven, but we have so much pain inside of us that we do not know what to do with this heaven. We do not know what to do with all of this abundance and freedom and generosity. We're like, I am not worthy of it. I'm not worthy of this abundance. So let me make everything complicated, and let me, right? But I think our wound of not good enough, our wound of this story that so many of us have of I'm not good enough, that is our personal hell. And from that hell, it makes it really difficult to participate in co-creating heaven on earth, or just to just stop destroying heaven on earth, right? I do not know anybody who is content in their life who destroys anything or hurts people. And I've seen it in my own life. When I hurt other people, it's because I'm hurting. When I have an impulse for destruction, is because I'm hurting. Right? When I'm connected, when I'm alive, when I'm like, yes, I'm feeling myself, I'm generous, I'm kind, I'm benevolent, I'm empathetic, I'm compassionate. Oh, you can add all the adjectives you want here, right? So for me, that's where I'm focusing my energy, firstly inside of me, so that I can enjoy being in heaven instead of being in hell for the rest of my life, because I spent many years in my own hell. And I'm trying to help others with their personal hell. So for me, that's the most sustainable way I have found to for us to be able to enjoy this beautiful, gorgeous, abundant, generous planet that we live on.
Thank you. I love deeply that perspective that we are actually not building something new. We are just going back to what has always existed, but we have forgotten to live in more communion with it, in more of a relationship with it. Like I'm in awe of how you shared and described that, actually, because yes, 100% everything is actually already beautiful and abundant, and there are so many parts of this planet where there's also some really beautiful, good stuff happening, where people are living in more sustainable ways, in more connection with Earth. And there are parts of this planet where I think technology is maybe not so like entrenched in people's lives, but yeah, we have lost our ability to see that and hold that as well, that is still a reality that exists, like that is happening. And I think what you said around, like, well, there were so many things you said that I want to like pick out, but I think right now I just feel like, yeah, actually maybe I don't feel like saying anything.
Oh my God. She's like done. She's like, okay, Lilya, bye. Sayonara.
No, I don't feel like saying, I feel like that was just so like beautiful. And I'm just like, yeah, that said it all. I don't think anything I can pick out to just bring back will even make sense right now. So yeah, just thank you for that perspective. Yeah.
I hope what I've been sharing is of value. I don't know, honestly, because I'm just sharing what is organically coming up. So I hope it's pleasant to listen to for whoever's listening, and also insightful. You know, I think there's so much information out there, right? I try my best to, even though let's be real, I am part of the problem in a way, but I try my best to make sure, is this valuable, what I'm sharing? Obviously it's from my perspective, so it's, I could find it valuable and someone else not, but yeah, I hope our conversation is insightful and valuable for someone who will be listening to it. I mean, I'm enjoying it, so I'm happy to be here with you and and hear about you and how you're thinking, and it also helps me reflect and refine how I'm thinking. I think there needs to be more spaces where we can have dialogue. I think it's really missing in today's world. Like, I realize, like, I'm really happy to talk about anything, and I do not need us to agree. And I can be friends with you even if we don't agree. So I feel like so many of the challenges that we face could be solved if we were better listeners. If we could really listen to one another. And that's also why I'm so passionate about what I do, because I realize in my own life and also in the lives of people that I work with that so much of our interactions are filtered through our conditioning, through the way we are. And so we're not really able to receive people as they are without the lens and the glasses that we're wearing, and so we're never really present with the other. We're never really somewhere. We are always involved in that interaction. So how much are we really able to perceive the other? That's something I'm still not sure. But I'm trying to really refine and refine and refine. So to the best of my ability, I can gift someone else in my life the 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 freedom or the joy of welcoming them as they are, with as little of projection of what I feel or think they are, coming from me.
Mm.
But I feel like if we could really see each other and listen to each other, and yeah, but I think that starts with how we treat ourselves. I think for me, that's the conclusion I've come to after 20 years. Maybe it'll be different in 5 years. We could have another convo. But for now, I feel like wherever this journey has taken me, I've always come back to the single unit of the self. It's always brought me back to that. Doesn't matter what is the problem. It's inside first, inside. So I'm very, very much uninterested, and I really don't have the patience at this point for symptomatic thinking or symptomatic solutions. I am extremely passionate about root cause. So the way I live, the way I work with myself, with other people, the way I see the world, the patterns in the world, everything, my whole perception is geared towards what is the root cause here. I see the symptoms, they're everywhere. What's the cause? What is the cause or the causes? And so that's where I'm focusing my energy. I'm focusing on the cause, not the effect, not the symptoms. That's not my space.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. And what you shared around how we receive and digest information based off like our perspectives, I think that is something I've also really been sitting with and noticing, like in myself, in relationships around me, and how if we were to just piece this with this notion of like building a world that is more kind and more generous, because we are able to listen to each other deeply without latching on to someone's story and making it something about ourselves. Like, we have to be very aware of this in every single moment of time, actually, that this is what's happening, that I am receiving what this person is saying to me based off my lived experiences, where I am with myself in this moment of time, what's happening in my heart, my brain, my body, what I feel in my gut, my soul, like all of that. And I think if we were all actually more aware of the fact that this is what's happening, it would be so much easier to deeply listen to each other. We wouldn't want to retaliate and react, and like it would be possible to live in a more harmonious world, perhaps. Because I think what I'm also learning is that harmony doesn't necessarily have to mean that everyone's on the same page. Like, harmony actually perhaps is just honoring someone else's truth while honoring your own. And there's no mine is better than yours. There's just this chill vibe, for the lack of a better word.
No, but mine is better than yours. I'm just saying. Just to be clear, we can pretend, but inside. No. But yeah, I mean, what you said makes total sense, honestly. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about the work that we both do, and that thankfully many others are also doing, is this idea of, when we decenter ourselves from what is going on, when we understand that we are not the center of the story, right?
Mm.
I think a lot of the challenges come from taking things personal. And so when we put ourselves in the story, when we center ourselves in the story, we're no longer giving space for the story to exist in and of itself. It becomes about us. We are now involved, and when we're involved, it's very difficult to be objective, because then all of our stuff also gets animated and activated, right? And so for me, what I'm really looking at is everywhere that I'm defensive, everywhere that I'm protective, everywhere that I'm aggressive, everywhere that I'm judgmental, everywhere that I'm all of these kind of energies, right? That's where I'm not free. So that's where I look, right? So, okay, I judge this person. What is it? And I don't shame myself for it, because that is not going to serve any purpose. But I observe it. Okay, I'm jealous of this person. Why? Okay, right? And so I look at all the places where my peace is disturbed, where my integrity is disturbed, and I use it as feedback to see myself more clearly. So the way I approach my relationships at this point in my life, and it's took a lot of energy to get here, I'm not going to lie, is that wherever I'm focusing on them, I immediately need to come back inside and be like, wait, they are never the problem. Nobody's ever the problem. What is going on inside of me? What am I feeling? What is this reminding me of? Why am I feeling reactive? Why am I feeling hurt? Why am I throwing this tantrum right now? Which part of me is feeling like this, etc., etc. So I feel like this thing of taking things personal, this defensiveness, I have reached my limit with it. Like, I think I called it a defensiveness burnout. Like last year, I was at the end of it. I was so fed up with having to deal with everybody's emotional tantrums. It's like I could not express anything from my perspective. And I'm really good at it. Like I've been practicing for many years. So I've reached a point where I'm able to communicate really hard things from my perspective without blaming anyone. So I'm like, guys, this is the max, okay? Like I've reached that place where I can say hard things simply, taking full responsibility for it. So really, I'm making your work easier, you know?
Mm.
And somehow I would always be faced with this defensive reaction, and what I noticed about it is that it is so selfish. Here I am being vulnerable. It takes a lot of courage to put yourself naked out there and be vulnerable and be like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling this stuff and this is what's happening. And I'm feeling ashamed that this is happening. And I blah, 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 right? And this person just reacts. And what I realize is it's such a fantastic mechanism, because when someone is defensive and reacts, now the focus is taken away from what you are trying to say, and it's brought back to them. So now the whole focus is on this little child who's throwing a tantrum, who's upset because you had the audacity of speaking about your own experience. And now you're there where nobody's paying attention to your experience because someone's too busy being upset, right? So now you're pacifying this child here, which is actually a grown up, but a child in a grown up body. And so that pacifies, but then nobody ever asks about the initiator, right? And actually there was something difficult here that was being brought up. And last year I was like, I am done with this pattern, guys. You figure your stuff out, you grow up. I can't do this. Like it is not okay for every time someone tries to have a dialogue and bring up something that they're met with a wall, that they're met with defensiveness, right? With a protective mechanism. Because that means you're not able to be with them. You're taking what they're saying personal. And you're making it about you when it isn't. That's what I'm saying. Like the decentering of ourselves from people's stories is super important. I think when we put ourselves in it, we're just not able to make space for someone else. And it's the not taking things personal, I think, is it's a super important process to go through. And everywhere where I am taking things personal, life personal, behaviors personal, I need to look at what's going on inside, because nothing is personal. life is not personal, at least from my perspective. It is just what it is. And I am making all this meaning of what it is through my experience,
Yeah.
So it's just, oh my God. I mean, we could be here for the next 6 hours, Hansika. So please let me know when you're fed up and down and dusted, because I'm a geek about this stuff. So yeah.
No, yeah, I feel you. I feel like there is so much that we both could keep speaking about because there is so much to talk about. And I think actually there is not a lot of spaces where we are just sitting and like having these conversations, because so much of like what this space is also, I suppose, become is about like serving, which is important. That's also the point in many ways. But I think beyond that, we also need to have a space to discuss, to talk, to delve deeper, because somewhere through this conversation, there's just like so much that I'm also like able to see, and it's opening up so much inside me. And I am so grateful that, you've taken the time to do this with me. And I'm so happy that hopefully there will be people watching this and also maybe gaining something from our time together in the way that I have, like through you, through myself, like through this energy we've co-created. And yeah, I think before we bring this to a close, I would like to say that what you shared around simplicity earlier feels very important in this day and age also. Like, what is living in connection to Mother Earth actually? It is about that simplicity that has always existed, right? Like, and we have lost our way in all senses of this word simplicity because of the system that we've already gone into. So how can we actually bring that back? Like, perhaps as we bring this conversation to a close, I would love to invite you like to maybe share like some maybe practical ways and tools that if there are people listening to this and have reached with us on this journey till this end.
They probably left midway. They were like, "Oh my God, no ideas what these women are going on about." Like,
Yeah, if there's so, how can you actually come back to this simplicity for somebody who is desiring that but really doesn't know where to start?
can you ask me again? That way it will help me just,
Hmm.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. How can, any being who's desiring to be in more connection with simplicity in their life begin to do that in a practical way?
So what came to me is to really look at where life is complicated and to start on in those places first. Wherever life feels tumultuous, complicated, confusing, hard, harsh, painful, scary, difficult. You can add whatever beautiful words you want to add to that. I think that's where you can really see where your life is inviting you to go on a journey to grow. I think where there is the pain, that is the direction towards simplicity. To really go into the pain, to just go deeply into it, to just lay down in it, to swim in it, to bathe yourself in it, to let it just take over you completely till there is nothing left to take over, till it just dissolves because it's just seen fully, welcomed fully. So I think for me, what I'm sensing and seeing is the path to simplicity is just going head on, deep dive into the most painful area of your life.
Mhm.
And I really believe that living a simple life requires a lot of courage, because from my personal experience of having really jumped into the deep end and sitting with my pain, and not just my pain, because our personal pain is universal pain, so we're all carrying a piece of it, but it's a very much collective and universal human shared pain. But I really, really feel that the door to simplicity is through confronting head on what we're most afraid of, what is most difficult. And through that fire, oof, yeah, I think it allows us to really develop a maturity and a wisdom that nobody can take away from us. And somewhere it helps us really accept to be an ordinary human. The desire to be special disappears. The desire to be anything else but what we are disappears. And I think that's where a lot of challenges start, when we want to be somewhere else than where we are.
Yeah.
So I would say, look at the stuff that you're avoiding. Look at your pain. Be curious about your trauma, not as a way to stay there and wallow in that. That's not the point, but as a way to really honor that pain and the wisdom, the seed of wisdom that is waiting in that pain. And I'm sharing this from a very embodied perspective because that has been my journey. Everything, and I've trained in 20 whatever modalities as of now, whatever, for me it's irrelevant, but everything that has really impacted other people's lives that I work with has been mind. I don't like that word so much, but it has been received through deep, deep pain. And if I had not gone to meet that pain, I would have no wisdom to offer. And so as I continue to meet pain, because my life is not free of pain, there are many places still within me that are dark and scary and difficult and overwhelming. But every time I have the courage to go meet them, I become more wise, I become more clear, I become more simple, I become more helpful, more useful. So yeah, meet yourself, meet your pain. And it's scary, and I think it's meant to be scary because it's an initiation, it's a jump into the unknown. But if we think about the universe, what is the truth of the universe? And this is, I can't say absolute truth, but from my understanding is it's darkness, right? So actually so many of us are afraid of darkness. And so many of us are chasing light and ascension and all the good feelings and the good vibes. And, we're very averse to pain and difficulty and discomfort and darkness in ourselves and others. We put it away in prisons and, we shame it into submission, or we repress it, or we judge it, or so I think the universe is darkness. So why would I be different? Right. And if I shine light on the darkness, then it is no longer darkness. So I think that's how we move from a trauma-driven culture, which is where I think we are right now, to an emotionally mature culture through meeting our pain. I don't think there is any other way. Not that I wish, honestly, if there was another way that I would have found, trust me, hands down, I would have definitely gone for it. But I have not found another way. So maybe someone else out there is smarter than me and figured out a way that's less intense. But that's the only way I figured out in this lifetime so far, is to move through all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
long answer. And you can join my course. No, I'm joking. And in 2 months, you will be healed from everything. And I will share my God, sorry, I'm just taking 2 more minutes, but I have this thing of this aversion to, what is it? Yes, I'll tell you the 5 steps to happiness. And I'm like, really? Like, some people really believe this stuff? Like, don't you think if really someone knew, and if it was so easy, don't you think we would all be like,
Yeah.
happy by now? Like, I mean, it's so, yes, join my course, 5 Steps of Happiness. You will come out a new person. All your problems will have disappeared. You will be perfect. I promise you. No, and that's Hansika, stop me anytime, because now I think I'm just losing it. But that's what
I
I was
love
trying
when
to
you
tell
are
a
losing
friend.
it.
I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, you know what I'm selling is not sexy. Like, the work that I'm selling, it's not sexy. Like, who wants to hear, hey, you're going to have to practice this your whole life, dude. There's no other way. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know how to give you this 2 months, you're in and out and done, right? Like, this is a lifelong practice, and it's going to suck your whole life here and there. And sometimes it's going to be great. What I have to offer as wisdom, and as what I have understood for myself of what is real for me, is not sexy. Nobody wants to actually really put in the effort and stay committed and consistent on a path for weeks, months, years. Take everything that's happening in your life as feedback to see yourself more clearly. So I'm like, okay, well, so I think only the crazies come and work with me, like the diehards kind of. No, I mean, no judgment. I'm just messing around. Um, but yeah, it's not sexy, right? In this marketing culture, like, nobody wants to hear that it's a lifelong process and that you can do 1,000 ceremonies. You're still gonna have to be human. You're still gonna have to go through the curriculum. There's no escape. So my thing is, what Pema Pema Chodron, is it I never pronounce it well, but bless her, calls wisdom of no escape. And that's what I practice. Just show up for everything. That's the only way I know. So, Hansika, do you have a better way? Because I'm game, if there's anything. Share.
No,
Help me.
with you.
Save me, heal me, Hansika.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. That is the only way. It's through the pain. And yeah, I think something that feels alive in me after what you've shared is just this widening capacity of our heart actually to hold the pain as we go in the journey. Like, because yeah, the pain is always going to be there. We're going to keep meeting different parts of the pain, different versions of the pain. And sometimes it's not the same pain, but a different pain altogether. But pain is ever present. And its lessons are lifelong. That this line is a line actually from one of my zines where I wrote like lessons that I learned from my dada, my grandfather, as I was reading his journals. And yeah, one of them is this, just that pain is ever present in life. And he lived a really long life. And when I read his journals, when he was an avid journaler, he would write all the time, every morning, every afternoon, every day. And he wrote till he left this earth. And yeah, I could see that. Like, pain is ever present. We are constantly finding parts of ourselves that are still holding pain. And also life throws us experiences all the time that leads to pain. Like that's the journey of opening your heart, is to meet pain and then come back to the fact that you can hold that pain and actually it's still safe to keep opening it. And something about that is so beautiful, that we grow, we are able to open our hearts more and hold more in our hearts and have a wider capacity to hold ourselves and each other. And which is why, like, I think in this day and time and age, yes, it feels more important than ever. I agree with you 100% that we need people to stop running away from their pain. Like, I have been writing about this a lot as well, and it's just showing up a lot in the words that want to flow through me, through my art and all the different ways of work that I do. It's this piece around how, like, we have created a system, again, a culture system that wants us to be disconnected from our pain, numb our pain. So to free yourself from the pain, we have to face the pain. We have to just stop running away from it. And it's only through that will we actually build a better world. Like, the better world is only going to happen when we free ourselves from our pain. So, yeah.
I would just say maybe for me the word better implies a lot of things personally. So for me I see it more as a we will stop destroying the beautiful world that is already here. You know, it's like
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It resonates to what you were speaking to earlier. It's there's no new earth. It's already beautiful. Yeah.
I think we just come in our way so much. We come in our own way. We just do not know how to really welcome abundance, and I think that's why we need to work on our pain, because unless we feel worthy of living in heaven, we will just keep creating hell. And of course, heaven and hell are metaphors. I hope everybody is like, using their brain here. It's a metaphor. It's not seeped in religion. I'm not coming from that, religious perspective of heaven and earth. I'm just saying heaven and hell. I just really feel like, yeah, what I said. So I don't need to say it again.
Thank you so much. This has been such a joy, such a delight, such an honor. Just my heart feels so full. I love you and I appreciate you. And
Sorry, is that the younger generations? How is this?
I do this. I learned it from my sisters who are much younger than me.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I really wanted to get this hand gesture.
That's okay. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, and thank you for all the work you have been doing and the work that you are doing and that you will continue to do. And I look forward to just many more opportunities for us to have conversations like this. This was a very beautiful time we shared together. So thank you.
I also want to thank you because you're doing a lot and you're creating a lot and you're being brave and vulnerable and sharing a lot of yourself and sharing a lot of your generosity with wanting to build something that is also, helpful for the people in this space, but also people who are wanting to get support and how to make it more accessible, so thank you also for everything that you do and for, putting this together, for taking the time to have these conversations, for just everything that you're putting out there. I'm also seeing you online and seeing what you're putting. And so, yeah, I look forward to seeing all the, future iterations. And who knows, maybe when our lives are physically in similar areas, maybe we could also, bring a space together offline.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I really have been hoping that at some point, all of this work that I see so many of us doing in so many beautiful ways online we can bring it together offline. Yeah.
We will.
Yes. Yeah.
Yay. Thank you, Hansika.
Thank you too, and thank you to everyone that continued to stay with us, that tuned in. It was such a journey. Yeah, and yeah, there's so much that you can receive just through following Lilya on Instagram, but also through everything she shared here. If you feel drawn to work with her, like, please do. I have never had the opportunity to be in a container with you, but in the few conversations we've shared and the spaces we have been together, I know that you do powerful work. So I would recommend you to people. Yeah.
That's because you haven't done work with me.
No, but I know you're joking. But yeah, like you're real, and I think that is important in a space holder. So if you're looking for a space holder right now, Lilia is here.
And
And
Hansika is also there.
thank
Yes. And you do a lot of awesome work as well. So yeah. Or neither of us also works.
neither of us also works. There, find who you feel drawn to. Yeah, always. And yeah, there are a bunch of resources on Taqat's website that are free resources for people to build more meaningful relationships with their bodies so that we can slowly also build more meaningful relationship with Mother Earth. So check that out if you'd like. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Hansika.